If you ever pitched to a client and thought, that went pretty well, but the prospect ended up not buying, this video is for you. Here's the truth. Number one reason why your prospect isn't buying from you is not because of your script, it's not because of your product, or even the price. It's because you failed to clarify the prospect's situation and the problem. Most salespeople in any industry already assume that their prospect understands their situation and problem well enough, which isn't the case. This is what leads to salespeople pitching their product way too early and killing the sale. And that's a huge mistake that you need to stop right now, because you can't provide a solution without uncovering the problem first. And to uncover the problem, you have to understand the client's situation. So it all starts with clarifying the prospect situation. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly step by step how to master the art of clarifying the prospect's situation and the problems so that your pitch lands naturally and perfectly right after. I'm Eric. I'm a sales coach, and I've been in sales for nearly a decade now at this point. I've helped hundreds of salespeople go from zero to hero and multiple high-performing sales team, and I wrote a book about it. So let's talk about the first point. Let's talk about how can you clarify your prospect situation in detail and early on. Now, if you don't know where your prospect is exactly going, then it is going to be really hard to set urgency and deliver value. Your solution will feel like a guessing game, and they're going to feel it too. Everything starts with clarifying and establishing a goal for the prospects. Now, you may be thinking, well, Eric, wait a minute. I do those things. I do clarify the client's goals. Yes, you may be doing that, but you might be falling into a common mistake a lot of salespeople like to get into, and that is asking a vague question and accepting a vague answer. It's not going to give a very clear direction for the prospects to start taking actions. And on top of that, trying to build urgency on top of it will be very hard. What you need to do instead is you need to get a specific outcome, a detailed outcome, and the whys. Why do they want to start making those changes? Why do they want the outcome? Why do they want those goals? So you need those two things, a specific outcome and the whys. Let's get into the application, guys. So here is how to clarify your prospects / clients goals. Now, before we clarify the goals for the prospects, we need to first introduce yourself and set the agenda. Now, this isn't a nice to have, because this is going to set everything that follows. And the key thing when you introduce yourself and set an agenda is you want to keep things simple and make it leading. That's it. I'm going to show you guys an example of how you should introduce yourself and set the agenda. Doesn't matter if it's an outbound or inbound, same rules applies. Whatever industry you're in, same rules applies also. And you can say something like this. So here it goes. Hey, this is Eric calling from XYZ company. Yeah, just giving you a call because I've noticed that you requested some information regarding our XYZ product and service. Okay, perfect. Yeah, I just want to have a chat with you just to understand your situation and your goals, just to see how we can just possibly help you out. So I want to just ask him a couple questions. Could you just walk me through what had you looking into our product? It's very simple. It's to the point. And it ends with a leading question and open-ended questions. Now, right after you do your introduction and your agenda, now you want to get into the questions that uncovers their specific goal and the whys. Why do they want to achieve those goals? So we'll use life insurance as an example, guys, to demonstrate this. If I'm an advisor, I will be asking questions such as, what are you trying to protect in this case? What are you trying to cover? Are you trying to cover funeral costs? Is it a mortgage or a debt? Are you trying to protect your family in case to provide an income replacement? What is your family situation looking like? Are your kids dependent on you? Are they independent financially? Are you and your spouse both working at the moment? To get to the whys, you could say, well, why particularly now do you feel like you have to get insurance? Why not last year or 2 years ago? What made it now? Was there a recent death in the family by chance? Is there something that's worrying you at the moment? Now, if you're asking those type of questions, if you're a life insurance agent, you're going to find a very specific goals, and you're going to be able to uncover why are they looking into this now versus before. And these questions, guys, it doesn't matter what industry you're in. The same rules apply. If you're in a lead generation company, the same rules applies. You will be asking questions such as, what has you looking into acquiring more leads in this case? Is it to increase your revenue by chance? What is your current revenue at the moment? Is it 7 figures? Oh, so your goal is to get to 8 figures then. How many sales will it require on a monthly basis to go from 7 to 8 figures? Okay, so your current sales at 50, so your goal is to get to 100 sales per month. You can also ask a question as, how many 100 sales months do you require in a row to hit the 8 figures mark that you desire. Also, you need to hit 12 months in a row. Okay, perfect. And you can ask a question such as, why now? Like, what made you decide to go from 7 to 8 figures? Why not last year? Why not this year? Why not 2 years ago, 4 years ago? Why now? When you ask these type of questions, you're going to get a very specific goal. And on top of that, you're going to get the whys. And this step is so crucial, guys, because once your prospect clearly understands their goal, their specific goals and their outcomes, and why they feel like they have to make the change, then it makes easy for them to take action to reach that goal. And also the conversation going forward has relevance and sets direction, a clear direction. If you skip this part, if you just got a vague goal and didn't dig deep enough, then what's going to happen is you're not going to be able to build the right urgency later during the call, and the client's intent won't be as high. This is what leads to a lot of prospects not wanting to go ahead with your sales because they feel like they didn't need it as much, or at worst, when they hear your price, they run away because they weren't urgent. Because when you start a conversation like this, you're not selling it anymore. You're helping them to achieve their desired goals. Now, the second point, let's get to the second point now. Once you've clarified the prospect's goals, you need to now clarify what is their current solution. What are they doing now, or what have they done in the past to reach this goal? Just to get them to understand, can they achieve the goal if they kept what they're doing currently, if they kept using their current solutions? And you can ask questions such as, what is your current solution? What type of coverage you have at the moment? What is your marketing plan right now? And you can start to ask, what does that solution look like? If you're selling life insurance, you can say, well, what type of policy is it? Is it a term policy? Is it a group life? Is it an accidental? For marketing, you can say, are you using another third-party marketing vendor? Or is it an in-house marketing team? And as you're asking these questions, your prospects and yourself should have a clear understanding of what are the current solutions. And this is to help your prospect to understand what is their current situation. It's not to tear down their current solution. It's not that. We just want them to understand, well, is it working or not, the current solution? You have such a goal that you want to achieve. Can that solution help you achieve that goal? Because this part of the call, guys, will set the framework for the next part, which is clarifying the problem for the prospects, which is the most important part. Because if the prospects are not able to clearly see their current path, they won't see the reason to change their current situation. And this is how you can create an internal urgency without you having to push for the sale. All right, guys, so the next part of the video, I want you guys to pay attention because this is the magic dust. This is where the conversion starts to happen. And unfortunately, this is where a lot of the reps get it wrong. So please stay tuned. Third point is to clarify the problem. You want to show the gap between their desired goals and their current solution, and have them compare and show a contrast, because as they start to understand and see that gap, this is where they start to look for a solution. Remember this, guys. People will start to make change. They'll start to take actions when they realize that it is risky by staying in the same path they're in right now. And this is a part of the call where you want your client, your prospect, to see their desired goals and comparing that gap to what their current plans are. And the wider that gap, the more tension they feel. So the application is quite simple. It's a 3-step process. First, you want to just reiterate and summarize what their current goals are. And then you want to compare that with what their current plan or solution is. And you simply ask a comparison question, just saying, can your current solution reach that goal that you desired? And just have them think about that and just have them mull over. Really, the goal is not to get a particular answer out of them. There is no right answers. The goal is to get them to think about the idea, the gap. Can they reach that goal in the next 12 months? In the next 12 months, if I kept using my in-house marketing or my external third-party marketing team, can I double my goals, right? Can I double my sales target to 50 to 100 to reach the 8-figure annual revenue goal? Because if it could have, I would have been there by now. Why haven't I been? These are the thoughts that people start having, right? Because when people, guys, feel that gap, when they feel that tension, the internal urgency now starts to get built inside of them. And then your solution now looks much, much better. But in order to get to that point, you have to get to the gap. In order to get to this gap, we have to do those other 2 points we talked about. And then this step turns your solution from just a nice to have to need this. Now, if you guys like this process and you want to create your prospect in your industry to fill that gap and to help you close more deals effortlessly left and right, what you can do is you can click on the link below and book a free one-on-one consultation with me. And I can give you a free assessment on what are some of the gaps and problems that you may be facing that is holding you back in sales from you to succeeding. And we can also give you an idea of how you can create your own unique sales process, like the one I showed you in the video, to help you close more deals. I'm going to talk about the last point in this video, guys, and it's to get your prospect to visualize what would it look like if they did not take any actions towards their goals. Because the final push and sale often comes when the client realizes what would it look like by taking in action. And at this point, we've clarified the prospect's goals and the whys. We've clarified what their current solution is, what their current plans are. We've also clarified the gap between what their desired goals are and comparing that to what their current solutions are. Now we want to get to visualize, well, if they left that gap, if they didn't do anything with that gap, what would it look like for them? So the application is this. Very simple. We're going to use future pacing consequential questions to get them to visualize and think, what would it look like if they didn't take any actions? Now, again, similar to the one before, we're not trying to get a certain answer out of them. The goal is to get them to think and mull over of the consequence of inaction, right? And so I'll give you some couple examples here. We can use life insurance as an example again to ask some of these questions. So you could say, if you were to pass away, let's say, and if those funeral costs and the mortgage were not covered, like how would that look like for your kids financially? To take on that cost, especially without your income. If they do have some savings set aside, like, will that be enough in that case? Like, will that be enough to get them going? And if it isn't enough, what will that kind of look like for them? If it's using the lead generation marketing team as an example, you could say, have you ever thought that if you can't reach this 8-figure goal, what will that kind of mean for you and your company? Again, guys, it doesn't matter what industry you're in. You just have to change up the question forms and the context, but the elements are all the same. You simply ask, if you didn't reach the goal by keeping your current solutions, what's that going to look like? And again, the goal is just get them to think about and mull over that, because when they start to feel that, now the problem becomes real, because this is some of the things that they did not want to think. They haven't thought about so. And this isn't to make things dramatic or try to scare them. We just want them to realize and think and bring to light what would that look like if you didn't do anything about it, if you just kept using your current solutions or current plan. And what this allows the prospect to see is that the problem becomes real. This is a real problem, and they're feeling it deep down their stomach, and they're getting uncomfortable. And when they see the problem as reality, they're going to see your solution now as a viable option. It's not, again, a nice to have. It's, I think we should start looking into this, because as they're feeling this fear, this anxiety, the first thing they want to do is they want to get out of it. They don't want to start feeling this. So your solution now becomes that gateway to not feeling the uncomfortable emotion, the fear, and anxiety. Now let's do a quick recap of the video. So first, like we said, we talked about how to clarify your prospect's goals, their specific outcome, their goals, and the why it matters to them. Second, we talked about how to clarify their current solution and their plans. Third, we talked about how to clarify the gap between their desired goals and their current plan or solutions. And last, we talked about how to get your clients to visualize the cost of inaction if they kept what they're doing and did not reach the desired goals. And I'd like to end this video with this. I want you guys to start thinking sales in a different way. I don't want you guys to start thinking, well, my product is great and that's why people are buying it. Yes, but what makes your product great is that allows your prospect to reach their desired goals where they couldn't have done it by themselves. And that's where simply the value comes from, right? Because if they can figure out their goals, if they can reach their goal by themselves, they don't need you. They don't need us. But because they can't do it on their own, and your solution comes in to help fix and reach their goals, that's what makes your product great. Not just because of the features and benefits. No. It's because of the value it brings. And the value is the solution that they could not come up with on their own. I guess I can't stress this enough. If you skip this process, if you're not clarifying the client situation and their problems, you're going to hear a lot of, let me get back to you. Or you're going to hear, well, that sounds great, but it's just not worth the price. And guys, if you do follow this process, you're going to hear a lot of, well, what is the next step? Now, guys, if you guys are tired of not being good at sales, not closing enough deals, or not seeing the success that you've always wanted, tired of hearing your clients saying, let me get back to you, or it's not in your budget, or Let me think about it. Go on the link in the description below and book a free one-on-one consultation calls with me. And in that call, we'll give you a free assessment and we'll figure out what are some of the gaps and the problems that is really holding you back in order for you to become a great salesperson. After that assessment, guys, I can provide an actionable plan for you guys to actually help fix that gap and the problem so that you guys can start closing more deals. And of course, guys, if you guys got value from this video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And I'm going to be dropping more videos like this every week to help serve you and help to serve the community. And again, keep on practicing. Thank you.